Trump sets the clock. Medvedev warns of the dead hand. As threats fly across platforms, the countdown to escalation ticks louder. Chasiv Yar burns. Ukraine denies the fall, but Russia tightens its grip. And from Moscow's airwaves, a chilling call. No Ukrainians left alive. This is VERTEX, and the question now, is the war crossing a line no one can walk back? US President Donald Trump and former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev exchanged barbs on social media July 31st, as tensions flared over stalled US-India trade talks and the looming threat of new tariffs. Dmitry Medvedev on July 31st told Trump to remember that Moscow possessed Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities of last resort.
If some words from the former president of Russia trigger such a nervous reaction from the high and mighty president of the United States, then Russia is doing everything right and will continue to proceed along its own path. Trump should remember how dangerous the fabled dead hand can be.
Medvedev made the remarks in a post on Telegram referring to a secretive semi-automated Russian command system designed to launch Moscow's nuclear missiles if its leadership had been taken out in a decapitating strike by a foe. Medvedev has emerged as one of the Kremlin's most outspoken anti-Western hawks since Russia sent tens of thousands of troops into Ukraine in 2022. Medvedev's remarks came after Trump told Medvedev to watch his words. Trump, in a post on his Truth social network on July 31st, singled out Medvedev, who is deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, for sharp criticism.
Let's keep it that way and tell Medvedev, the failed former president of Russia who thinks he's still president, to watch his words. He's entering very dangerous territory.
Medvedev, who is considered a close ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin, served as president in 2008 due to term limits. Medvedev said that Trump's statement showed that Russia should continue on its current policy course. Trump wrote in his second warning to the former Russian president in recent weeks. Earlier, Medvedev said in a post on X on July 28th that Trump was playing the ultimatum game with Russia and that such an approach could lead to a war involving the United States.
Trump's playing the ultimatum game with Russia. 50 days or 10. He should remember two things. Russia isn't Israel or even Iran. Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. Not between Russia and Ukraine, but with his own country. Don't go down the Sleepy Joe road.
Trump on July 29th warned Moscow, saying that Russia had 10 days from today to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine, or be hit, along with its oil buyers, with tariffs. Moscow, which has set out its terms for peace, which Kyiv says amount to demanding its capitulation, has not so far indicated it will comply with Trump's deadline. The spat came as negotiations between Washington and New Delhi appeared to hit an impasse just days ahead of a deadline set by Trump. Trump, in a social media post on July 31st, said he didn't care what India, one of Russia's biggest oil buyers along with China, did with Russia.
I don't care what India does with Russia. They can take their dead economies down together for all I care. We have done very little business with India. Their tariffs are too high, among the highest in the world. Likewise, Russia and the USA do almost no business together.
In what appeared to be a response to US President Donald Trump's jibe that India is a dead economy, India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, while addressing the country's parliament that is in session, highlighted that the Indian economy will soon become the third largest in the world in terms of GDP size and is currently the world's fastest growing major economy. He also said India will protect its national interest while pursuing any trade deal with world economies. Meanwhile, on July 31st, the Ukrainian military denied Moscow's claim that Russian forces had captured the frontline city of Chasiv Yar in Donetsk Oblast, one of the main hotspots of the front line in eastern Ukraine. Earlier, Russia's defense ministry claimed its forces had captured the city during an offensive in the Kramatorsk-Druzhkivka direction. Lying only a few kilometers west of the occupied Bakhmut, now largely destroyed Chasiv Yar has stopped Russian forces in their tracks since they first entered the city limits in April 2024. Viktor Trehubov, spokesperson of the Kortitsia group of forces, in a comment for the RBK Ukraine news agency said,
"The situation in Chasiv Yar is the same as in recent months. Russia is simply lying again, precisely so that the claim spreads through refutations."
According to Ukrainian open-source monitoring group Deep State, Ukrainian forces continued to hold parts of Chasiv Yar's southern and western neighborhoods as of July 30th, with the rest of the city in Russian hands. However, Emil Kastahelmi, an analyst at the Finland-based Blackbird Group monitoring group, said it was likely that Russia was in control of the vast majority of the city.
"We've been able to geolocate Russians to many parts of the city, to the edges of the city. It's still possible that on the furthest edges and outskirts of the city, there is still some fighting going on, but it is very likely that the Russians control most of Chasiv Yar at this point."
Speaking to the Kyiv Independent, Kastahelmi added the latest news is just a development in these gradual advances, not really anything very new.
Russia's slow, grinding, and street-by-street advances over several months. Even though they are now claiming this, the front line hasn't really moved much from the point where it was last week. So in that sense, it's not really a very radical development.
In a statement to the Kyiv Independent, Dmitry Zaporozhets, spokesperson of the OTU Luhansk, said that
Russian soldiers raising flags in areas of the city were performances carried out for Russian internal propaganda. The occupiers installed tricolor flags in the area of a refractory plant that has not been physically under the control of Ukrainian forces for a long time, as well as in the territory of the Pivnishny district, temporarily under the control of the enemy.
Zaporozhets also claimed that those Russian soldiers raising flags were risking their own lives for the sake of the promised vacation, claiming a short-term vacation was the reward offered to Russian troops by their superiors for taking part in such actions. After the fall of Bakhmut in May 2023, Russian forces advanced west of the city towards Chasiv Yar, with slow, incremental gains coming at a high cost in manpower and equipment. The news comes as Russia continues to close in on other key cities in Donetsk Oblast, namely Pokrovsk and Kostiantynivka, as part of its ongoing summer offensive. While grinding forward in the east, Russian forces are also seeking to carve out a buffer zone in northeastern Sumy Oblast and penetrate Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Russian state-run media outlet RIA Novosti on July 30th published a column titled, "There is no other option. No one should be left alive in Ukraine." In the piece, columnist Kirill Strelnikov describes Ukrainians as happy with their fate and claims they are ready to die for what he derisively calls the best army in the world. The article refers to Ukrainian soldiers as laboratory rats, denies their humanity, and includes a grotesque comment about no need for lacy underwear for the dead. Strelnikov repeats Kremlin propaganda lines, including the claim that Ukraine is a military training ground for the West and that Ukrainians are mere pawns of the US and Europe. The piece marks an escalation in Russia's dehumanizing war propaganda, claiming that Ukrainians are ready to die, contradicting the lived reality of a population resisting an unprovoked invasion, which Moscow started back in 2014 to defend their homes and sovereignty. This rhetoric reflects a long-standing Kremlin narrative designed to strip Ukraine of agency and portray its people as expendable.